I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Hey everyone, welcome to Patriots Across the Pond. We are here live today, and it's just Stu and I waffling on. How you doing, Stu?
I'm good. I don't really know what we're going to talk about today. We've had, I know you want to have probably a few rants as well, like you do like to start the show off with a rant. But we've had so many good guests on over like the last week.
Yeah.
You and I haven't done this for 2 weeks, have we? Because it was
New Year's.
New Year's Day. Yeah. So we haven't done this for 2 weeks. And yeah, we've had so many good guests on, and we've just discussed all the subjects that have been going on lately with our guests. So my bit of paper has got nothing on it because I've scribbled everything off. I've got a couple of videos about New York, which is quite interesting. And obviously we've just had that shooting in Minneapolis, was it?
Yeah. With the what you talk about, the woman in the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
go on then. Start.
Well, okay, so what do I want to rant about? So basically it's kind of ridiculous, but George has a relative, and she is one of the most lovely women I know, and she's so sweet, and she's just been so nice to me and so loving. And so today he was like, oh, if you really want to piss her off and tell you like Trump. And I was like, really? Like, I was actually shocked because I just assumed, but she is an educator. So we could obviously go down that rabbit hole of how the whole, area of education, they've all been kind of brainwashed to hate anything conservative or, and what kind of kills me is that I had this experience like 10 years, well, probably like a little more. It was when it was the 2016 election. And some of the parents, was very divided during that election, Trump versus Hillary, like, really divided. And a lot of the parents were pro-Hillary. And there was one, friend, I wouldn't say she was a great friend, but, we were able to talk. And I said to her, and I was looking at her life, okay? First of all, she's Black. Her children weren't allowed to have cell phones. She went to church every Sunday, which I didn't. The kids weren't allowed to have cell phones and anything like that. There were very strict rules about that, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm looking at her life, and I said to her one day, I said, do you realize that your life is more conservative than mine, the way you live? And she's like, what do you mean? So I start telling her the comparisons. I said, and I'm just curious, you're saying you're, a Hillary supporter. I said, but do you honestly know the platforms? And she was like, well, so I start going through a lot of the things that go against conservative values. She really didn't have anything to say. She was kind of shocked. So now I'm going to swing that back to this aunt. And she's probably has no clue. Again, she has conservative values and doesn't even understand platforms because there's been such brainwashing about how terrible and awful Trump is. And I'm going to guess, because around here in New York, a lot of the people that I've found are against Trump, women. Do you know what their kind of explanation is? It's remember when he said it was the locker room talk? And he used the word pussy, remember? And, and it's this whole idea that he's denigrating to women and he's this and he's that and he's a bully. And, I was saying to George, I was like, do you think she would think any differently if she knew that he's helping to prevent children from being raped on a daily basis? Like, would that make any difference? Because she is an educator and she does help children. And I'm sure she's done a lot in her career. Like, it blows my mind. Now, I know that the way this military operation has gone, and God knows how far back with Trump, right? Like we know it probably didn't start in 2015 when he was coming down the elevator, right? But his persona and the way he comes across kind of feeds into that view. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's unapologetic about that. I'm going to use this word, but it doesn't fully, and that I don't give a shit and I'm a bully kind of a guy who's going to just say what I want to say and do what I want to do. Right. We know differently, but it saddens me and it makes me really upset because people, again, they buy into the psyop and they don't actually look at what's really going on. They don't understand anything. They don't know anything about this man, what he's done in his past, on a personal level, all the things we've spoken about, how he's helped people and done these altruistic things for people. And they clearly don't understand anything about any of his executive orders, any of the ways that he has, like, even this whole situation in Venezuela. They don't take time to look at things. And let me tell you, George's family's from Cuba. They had to leave in the early 60s, and they're still scarred and traumatized by what happened. So wouldn't it make sense for you to think about a guy who is building peace all around the world, that maybe there's something to it? And we know that after Venezuela, we've got a whole bunch of other countries coming up, including Cuba, that are going to be addressed. So anyway, that's kind of my rant. It's just frustration.
All right, well, you can have another rant in a minute. I forgot to put my phone on silent, so you might have heard that my message alert go. What
I didn't hear it. I don't know if anybody, but I was talking. So
right, well, that's what it does. Little message from Jamie here. You'll be proud of me. I am watching your stream while I work, because he is right. That sort of a man that cannot do two things at once. So fair play to you, Jamie. But Jamie's doing our website at the moment. This is one of the reasons we've been sort of like mega busy this week, and doing all our other interviews and stuff and talking about everything with everyone else. So we haven't got maybe a lot to talk to about today. But yeah, well done, Jamie. Now we know you're watching. Make sure you watch it all, because we will be waffling on a bit, and I will be asking questions just to make sure you have watched all of it. Yeah.
So it might be a nice idea, just like we'll continue ranting a little, but it might be a nice idea for anybody who is watching today and in the chat, maybe be a little interactive, if there's things that they want to talk, want us to talk about or share, or things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the chat feed isn't going very fast today, so you might not have to type in capitals, and we haven't got a guest on, so I don't really have to concentrate as much as normal. It's quite respectful, isn't it? So just try and listen to everything they say when we have a guest on. But what you're just talking about just now, it's amazing how many people you go round and reporters go and ask these protesters about, Charlie Kirk and all these other people, that they haven't got a clue what's going on. They're standing there calling people racist and fascism and quoting these, just these same old quotes they're parroting from other people. And when they're questioned on it, they don't know. There's a great little video last week. I won't be able to find it now. A guy had to get his phone out of his pocket to Google it. Then he made the excuse that he couldn't. You saw that video, didn't you?
No, I didn't see that one.
I wouldn't be able to find that now. I think I might have put it on my Facebook, actually. So, and they're all CNN watchers. That's why. They've all been absolutely brainwashed, haven't they? Just to parrot out these talking points.
Yeah. It's so sad because what's happened is that they've been so detached from themselves. Like they've been so brainwashed to just hate this man that they don't even look at what some of the realities are and compare it to their own values. Like, are you really against the idea of having an executive order, against human trafficking? Right? Okay, if you are, then you can think this guy's an idiot, right? Are you really against the idea that people who commit acts of treason and do terrible things should not have their money, frozen? Okay, if you're against that, fine, then you can hate him. Like, we could just go on and on and on and on.
Well, they're protesting ICE at the moment, aren't they? Which are law enforcement, which are doing the will of the people who voted in a duly elected president on the proviso, or whatever word I'm looking for, that he was going to do that and he was going to sort out all this illegal immigration. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. See, this is what always gets me about liberals. They're out there protesting what's going on with ICE and getting rid of people that are illegal, right? But I guarantee you, if one of those people in the midst of their protest, an illegal came up to them and punched them in the face and robbed them.
Oh, yeah.
They'd switch. And
well, they wouldn't want to defund the police anymore, would they?
Yeah, exactly. And plus the fact, okay, let's take it a step further. Do you enjoy paying taxes?
I don't know.
No, not you. I mean, I'm saying to these liberals, like, do you enjoy that? Because, okay, if you enjoy it, great. But if you are paying taxes and they are paying with all the fraudulent stuff that's going on, and people that don't even that aren't paying taxes and they're here illegally, like, then I would guess that if you're fighting against ICE, you're okay with that.
If Trump and his tariffs start putting dividends back out to the people, or a little rebate, say he gave every American citizen $5,000, how many of those liberals do you think would hand it back? Because I think they should all give it to charity if you still got TDS.
Yeah. It's just, and here's the problem. This is the problem. Like someone, English Hawk just said they're serial protesters, and I agree with that. But here's the problem. You have these knuckleheads that get caught on camera and they're doing this, right? The problem is that there's idiots that watch them, that are working, they're not standing out there with signs and shit like that. They're going to work, they're taking care of their families, right? And then they buy into that shit. That's what the problem is. The stupidity just trickles down to so many levels.
Yeah, I found that vid.
You found it?
Some have called TPUSA a fascist organization. Would you agree with that?
I think TPUSA is in it for money, and I think they are in it to keep Trump in office for a third term, which of course is unconstitutional.
What is your number one issue with the Trump administration? Why are you out here protesting AmFest and Charlie Kirk?
Why am I out here? Okay, because of what they stand for.
What do they stand for?
They stand for white nationalism. They are Nazis in Skechers.
How are they Nazis?
How are they Nazis? They're white nationalists, same thing.
What's a white nationalist?
Seriously, dude. That's a dumb question. Everybody knows what a white nationalist is.
Do you?
I do, yes.
What is it?
If you don't, hey, here you go. We'll Google it. How's that? Give me time. I'm old.
He's old and stupid.
Takes me a while. I'll get there.
I'm married. I have 2 children. I raised my children. I didn't rape my wife to have our kids. She consented to me having sex with her after I committed her.
We need the Jeopardy timer. Do, 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 do. Yeah. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, he said, I'm not getting any service, sorry. But this is just, well, I've seen so many videos of this, you know, I'm not saying there's not people on the right that are stupid, because there are.
Of course.
Yeah.
But the point is that people don't even, she says it's unconstitutional. He should have asked her some other questions about the Constitution.
Oh, he probably did. Yeah, definitely. So, have you got another rant about your thumb?
Oh, my thumb. Yeah. So I've told my kids over and over. It's really my younger daughter, who, by the way, I do have to do a shout out to, because she is like, she's so on top of things. If I ask her to do anything, she does it. She's just amazing. So, but I do have one rant about her. So she feeds the cats. We have cats, right? She takes the little pull top off the can. And I've said to her, don't throw that in the garbage, because it could be dangerous if someone goes to push the garbage down, you know, because of course the kids just dump things in the garbage. They don't like push it down. So you've got like one thing and it's all the way at the top, right? So yeah, okay. Put it in the recycle bin right away. Nobody gets hurt. Okay. So last night I'm getting ready to cook. I get my pots out, right? And I go to push down the garbage, and what is there? I feel like, ow, what the hell is that? And of course, my thumb went right into the top. You know, it was up. Of course, it was upright. It wasn't even put in down. You know, flat. So I immediately bypassed pain and upsetment and went right to anger and rage. Just kept like, I'm not cooking now. What the hell is wrong with you? So I went a little crazy. So I'm hopeful that, you know, I refused. You know, they're like, oh, do you need a stitch? I was like, I'm not going anywhere to get a stitch. I'm going to plaster it together with the butterfly thing and the Band-Aids. And, you know, it stopped bleeding. It was bleeding for a while, but it stopped. But yeah, so I got my little thumb. The summer I had, my middle finger was broken from the dog. So I'm like, if I just lived alone, I probably would have no injuries.
You were walking about like that, were you, all the time?
Yeah.
Well, like a big
cartoon. Because I have the brace on, yeah.
Cartoon finger, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay. Right. Well, let's just have a little look at this video then.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, so that's one of the videos, obviously, but she did drive straight at this fella. There were a lot more videos of it, better angles and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's better angle. There's other videos of that as well, even better angles where, but all this stuff is kicking off now. I just want you to watch this, right, and tell me if this looks
real or memorized.
Real or staged.
Yeah.
So what happened just now is that these Border Patrol officers have gotten themselves surrounded.
Fuck you. Fuck you back, pussy.
I'm not being funny, but that looks staged to fuck to me. Now, obviously, we know what's gone on with this woman shooting, and because when she drove at that officer and he shot her through the front screen, got hit, got out of the way, and you can see he definitely got hit from other angles. That obviously it looked like her accelerator went down where she's put her foot down because she's been shot, and she shot down the road and it steamed into that car. So that looks to be like that was a real thing, right? Because we talk about things being staged and real or not. But this here, you've got all these ICE agents dressed up in military gear, right? They've all got rifles, pistols in their holsters. You cannot be professional like that if you've got a holster in here and you've got a load of people pushing you from behind and stuff. It just, that scene there doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And that was, when was that video from? Was that
was today.
That was today. So it was after the shooting.
I'll go to the message. Currently in Minneapolis, ICE agents are surrounded and getting assaulted. That is from an ex-post as well. Dot connecting anons, that.
Yeah. That's a good point you make about the weapons, the firearms, where they were.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it just, obviously whether some of these things are staged or come from real events and things, it's still further in this wake up narrative. It's still, I mean, how many of the deep state still left, the cabal and all these things? We're obviously seeing some moves and counter moves, but people are being given more and more chance to come over to the right side and wake up. And it's so blatant now that these people and these Democrat governors, right, are anti-America, they're anti-law, they're pro-foreign nationals, whether they're legals or illegals. It is so 180 to the conservative narrative that they're either being steered down this route by the White Hats, or they've capitulated and they're being made to Tim Waltz and what's his name? Frey, Jacob Frey.
Yeah.
People like that.
You know, I'm going to just take like a devil's advocate position, just if like, okay. And again, I think these people are uninformed and ignorant. And it reminds me of a skit that Sebastian Maniscalco, the Sicilian American comedian who, you know, he does some really funny routines, but he talks about these protesters. This, of course, goes back to when they were protesting like the Hollywood stuff, you know, like justice and all this stuff. And he starts going into this thing, like he basically goes, but don't these people have jobs? Like, you know, like how do you have the time to go out there? So that's like the first thing. But if, let's say I'm an uninformed person who doesn't understand this is a military operation, who doesn't understand the extent of the corruption, who doesn't understand the master plan that's been around, who doesn't understand the infiltration that's happened in our government, right? And governments around the world. Okay, that's a key point too. And who doesn't understand that in the end, what they have done through the years really makes no difference because it's all being puppeteered. So let's just say you don't know that. And then you see Trump, the military, the ICE agents out there. I could understand how you could be afraid that somehow they're in danger and it's Nazi-like. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, because they're coming from that perspective of just all of a sudden the way they see, like they're not aware of everything that led up to this. And then they just see like, ICE agents and they see people coming. Like, I can understand how the fear factor could get people to be so stupid. So that's part of the problem, right? Because how much has been going on over the last 8 years to wake people up to understand why we need this to happen? And
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely. But look at the BLM rights, right? There's talk now that this is being bigged up again for another George Floyd sort of narrative and stuff like that. Now, those BLM rights, there was hundreds of thousands of people out. What we're seeing now, I think, with this is pockets
Yes.
of people left, whether they're the 60,000 secret army dressed up, just Nazi, and all these things.
Yeah, it could be very well.
But what we're seeing is this every day more people move over to the conservative side, common sense side, whatever you think.
Common sense,
and so it's every day it's been whittled and whittled and whittled down to that 4 to 6% left.
Yeah. And I can understand, I can make an equal argument that you're right. I do think, and it was very encouraging. I think it was Sheila who talked about the percentage and where we were and where we needed to be, right? You know, for not to have civil war and all that stuff. So it does make sense, especially if you're in a place like Minneapolis. Let's think about it. There's a lot of danger, so to speak, right? I don't know that these people, there's really a lot of these people left who don't agree with what's going on to clean up that city and to get, you know, to get these people out of there. And that's another reason why I think a lot of this is staged, because they have to kind of show that side of things. So it looks like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they need to show that there's still people protesting, because number one, for the people who are really on board at this point, it kind of angers them to say, like, what's going on? Like, why can't they see it, you know, and be more strong about their position. But it also shows the ridiculousness, you know, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it just shows the ridiculousness. So I'm of the opinion that a lot of this is staged. Look, I don't know. But if you compare that small little group, let's say it's organic and it's real, it's still a lot smaller than what we've seen, right? I mean, you go back 5-6 years, you're absolutely right. Even if some of those people were paid back then, which we know, a lot of people weren't paid that believed this, you know, especially with the George Floyd thing. I mean, I remember you couldn't go anywhere without that coming up, and how horrible the cop was and this and that and the other thing. So I think I think Sheila's right. I was sort of wondering in myself, like, are we really that far along? Do we really have that many people? But you know what? I think we do.
Yeah. Well, Juan's been saying for ages that it's got to be over 80%, and he's been saying we're at 81%, 82%, things like that. Whereas other people are saying it's probably only 10% of the people are awake. But what you've got to understand with that, it has to be over 80% and maybe 90% or 95%, so that, you know, 4 to 6% are lost forever.
Yeah.
Is the fact that there may only be 10% of us awake, but to get it over 80%, there's 70% of people that are side-eyeing things, that are not doing anything, that if the hammer went down and they were told the truth on the TV, they would automatically be in that 80%.
Yeah.
Whereas there's 5, 10, 15% wouldn't believe it, or they'd say it was AI and all this other stuff, or would get involved in protesting because still got TDS and all these things.
Yeah. But I think we have to make a differentiation between awake and awake. You know, people can be awake to the point that they see something's not right. They're maybe not buying into the media, the mainstream media message anymore. They don't disagree with law and order, but they don't know what we know, you know, us and our followers. So that I think when I used to think awakened, I thought like us. They've gone down rabbit holes. They understand. They know the history. I think for a military operation, awake doesn't mean that far. That there I would agree with you. Maybe only 10% are to the extent that we are. But I think that 80% is probably people who get something's wrong and they're not agreeing anymore with the narratives, and they are questioning things, and they understand that there's some really bad stuff going on, even if they don't know what it is. Maybe it's like, oh, it's just the politics. Even if they don't understand this, like 30 layers above their politician, they still know that that's not the way it's supposed to be. So I think but I do think that those people, like you said, have a lot to learn. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot to learn, and they're still going to be shocked.
Yeah. TCT me. I have no clue what a white nationalist is, and I've been white over 605 years. And I did laugh at that. Obviously, he's put in there, ha ha ha, that's 65 years.
But does anybody really know what that is? I never even, I've heard of nationalist.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, a patriot, right? If a patriot is a white nationalist, well, I'm white and I like my country. So if that makes me a white nationalist, I'm all for immigration. I want to go around other countries of the world, but I want to respect their culture. You know, I don't want to go to another country and start burning their flag, do I? Or protesting their police. Or telling the people in their country they need to get out and stop doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that.
Right.
I'm a patriot and I'm proud to be in England. And just for that, I'm going to change my flag to the England flag for today.
Good.
There
you know,
we go.
it's funny. I'm looking at a lot of these people. If you look at some of these people, and again, I happen to think it is organic. Like when you see a guy like that, like I don't think that's a staged thing. Like that guy, just you could tell he's terminally stupid. But if you look at any of these people that they interview like that, right? Look at their age. Generally, a lot of these people lately that are protesting ICE are like in their 60s, would you say? And I hate to say it, but I feel like they just want to be rebellious in some way, but they're stupid. So they're picking, do you know what I'm saying? There was no conviction to what that man was saying. There was no conviction when that woman was telling, keep forgetting his name, when he was going to all the centers in Minneapolis, calling him, you're with ICE, you're with ICE. It's just like, they don't know what to do with themselves. That's what I think. These people are bored. They need a hobby. They need to find some purposeful thing to help other people. You're really helping people standing there sounding like a fool. Go volunteer. Go to a shelter. Do something. Like if that's what if that's really your intent.
It's interesting what you said there about a lot of these people seem to be about 65 years of age and things like that. Now, we've seen lots of adverts for acting jobs and all these things put out by the deep state and the cabal. George Soros hiring people, we need paper testers and things like that. If we have got a white hat, 60,000 secret army, maybe a lot of those are veterans, male and female, that used to be in the military. Then they retired, and the white hats have got a lot of those involved to play these parts.
So it's again, it's part of that whole 55,000 actors, what makes a good movie. It very well could be. I mean, it's hard to imagine someone's that stupid. I guess it's possible. And when I say stupid, what I'm going to, that's like a nasty word, uninformed and speaking. I don't know. Are people really that ignorant to say things without anything behind it? I guess, yes, there's a percentage, but you're right.
Okay, well, let's talk about New York for a little bit as well then. Because when Mandami got in, you celebrated, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because or he's been portrayed as a communist and all these things, but we think he's working for Trump and he's part of this planned operation and stuff. And we both said, now you watch what happens. Right? The people celebrating, many New Yorkers going, what the fuck is going on? But the New Yorkers are waking up. And I've only saved 3 little videos this week in our group.
Okay.
It'd be a good time to play those now, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, you ready for this? Under Mandami, this New York City has just passed the COPA law, which means if you own a home in New York City and you want to sell that home, you can't sell that home unless unless non-profit organizations put in a bid for that home. It must be listed 30 or 60 days. You got to fact check me on that. I'm not sure, but there is a certain amount of time that home has to be listed. Nonprofits have to have no interest before you can privately sell that home. You know what? I'm just going to let you take that information and pass your opinion on it.
New Yorkers are now getting a taste of their own medicine. They're now being awoken by the Islamic call to prayer at 5 a.m. And are then being disturbed a further 4 times throughout the day by that very same Islamic call to prayer. How sad. Sorry, excuse my lack of empathy, only I don't know what the fuck you expected. You elected an Islamist mayor, a socialist Islamist mayor, no less. Zoran despises everything that the United States stands for. Freedom, democracy, might, and capitalism. So it is absolutely no surprise that he is choosing to disrupt the status quo. Hence, the Islamic call to prayer being loudspeakered throughout the city, across the very same city that was victim to the worst attack of all time. And that's probably why, on his path of self-destruction, he also just appointed the attorney of the 9/11 Al-Qaeda to now be the top attorney in New York City. You know, he's just disrupting the status quo. He wants New York to eat itself from the inside out. And you fools have facilitated this. And my God, did we warn you. London has been stuck with Sadiq Khan as mayor for a very long time. We have been stuck with the Islamic call to prayer for far too long. But that should be the very least of your concerns. London has quickly become all but lawless. Crime has skyrocketed. There's 2-tier policing protecting, you guessed it, the Muslims. Oh, and the demographic of London has been irreparably changed, altered by, I'll leave you to guess by whom. Buckle up, New York. Buckle the fuck up.
He lied. He lied big time. He lied big time. Subway fare increases to $3. I thought shit was gonna be free. I thought the buses was gonna be free. I thought the trains was gonna be free. He lied. The trains have officially started today, and they done spiked the fare and bus to $3. You son of a bitch. You tricked us and played us all. We all knew it. A lot of us knew it. But the people, oh, he's giving her a free this. Everything's gonna be free. Everything's gonna be good. He's dancing with you. He's partying with you. He's acting like you. And he fooled you and tricked you. You thought he cared about you. He never did. He used you to capitalize off of the biggest city in the world, the Big Apple. And he's about to rob it and bank off of it like a motherfucker and put his people on the map while the American people suffer. And as for NYPD, a lot of rookies, soon all of them is going. It's about to be real fucking bad. And you're already seeing the glimpses of it.
I just want to say something. So going back, do you remember, I don't know if you ever saw this, when Obama was running, there was like a video of a woman and she was like running in front of, she's like in front of the camera, and she's going, Obama gonna pay my mortgage. Like she was saying, it sure reminds me of. But here's the thing that I want to comment on that woman from London. Like, I find it interesting that she's going, we're stuck with it. Like, she's giving advice to New Yorkers, but meanwhile, London people didn't take, like, why is he still there? Why is your mayor still there? Like, she's telling us about how terrible New York is going to be, but why aren't people up in arms? Again, it's the same thing. You guys, the spell is there as well, you know, with these people not fully waking up. So as far as this Mamdani, it would be interesting for us to do a little bit of a deep dive. I think I may do that, like, because I don't really know much about him. I just knew his position and the whole election. But like, is he just a fabrication? You know what I mean? Like, is he just another one of these fabricated individuals? You know,
Look, I mean, there's a reason he was in Trump's office, right? And the press asked him about calling Trump a fascist. And Trump said, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. You can call me a fascist, right? And then he's doing 180s and stuff all over the place. Now, can I just ask you about that woman, what that woman was saying about the Islamic call to prayer?
Yeah.
Do you hear that? Is that going on?
Well, you got to remember, I'm not in New York City.
Yeah,
okay? And New York City's big, and it depends where in New York City. In other words, and there's Queens, there's Brooklyn, there's the Bronx, there's, you know, is it Manhattan?
Yeah, but can you confirm that from, you know?
Yeah.
You can.
No, I mean, I'm gonna here.
Tap away and have a look. Right, okay, so
yeah, we're right here. We got a few things going on. We've got New York City mosques are allowed to broadcast Islamic call to prayer. Manhattan, New York residents complain about 5 a.m. I'm sorry. 5 a.m. Islamic call to prayer. New York City residents react to Islamic call to prayer in post-Mamdani, New York. So
yeah, so there is people complaining about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'd just like to.
But I'm going to do a little bit more to find out where. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like where? They said Manhattan people were complaining. But see, when they say New York City, they have to be more specific. Wait. Brooklyn residents are raising concerns about the Islamic call to prayer. So, okay, so there's Brooklyn. But there's sections in Brooklyn that, like, here's my point. There are certain areas in New York that are very, very Muslim.
Yeah, but there's obviously church bells that ring in other places and stuff, isn't there? So
right, but I don't know that you're going to compare a church bell to something those things are loud, those call to prayers. Like the bells, if I'm a block away, I hear them and they go, you know, I don't know, maybe it's certainly very healing to hear a bell than to hear one of those, like, it sounds like an alarm. It sounds like a fire alarm, you know, like, no offense to anybody that's Muslim, but it's
they even posted an interesting video about that as well, and I think Greg Weiss did one as well about, you know, the reason they got rid of the bells and the healing frequencies and stuff.
100%. So yeah, so I want to see exactly, like, where is it in the heart of like these Muslim neighborhoods, or is it like there just happens to be a mosque in a very mixed neighborhood and they're doing it too? Because but you know what I say? Let them go off like 20 times a day now.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Just keep doing it. Like, are people gonna start? They're oh my God, I don't know what's gonna take to wake them up. And what that guy was talking about with selling your home.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm going to get into that. Go on. What's your point?
My point is, where are they putting this out? Like, in other words, I didn't hear that until I just saw that video. Okay, I'm not selling
Well, it's funny that video comes out. So he's obviously getting his information somewhere. And then yesterday, Trump puts this out.
Okay.
For a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It's for that reason and much more that I'm immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I will be calling upon Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I would discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more, at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks. Now that speech will probably be fire.
So I think, okay, so yeah, and I think the more, obviously it's meant to have this disparity where, you know, what's going on in New York, and then President Trump is saying that it's a right, and, you know, it's for individuals, and now you have this Mamdani. I have to tell you, like, I can't even hate this guy because I just think he's a really good actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, but and truth be told, if you look at him and you listen to him, he's very I want to think of the right word. There's a lot of charisma. So like, it's, you know what I'm saying? He's coming across saying these horrible things in such this charismatic, sweet way. But with the houses, I think I don't know, like, I hadn't heard about that, you know?
It's just, I've just found that Bells video.
Okay.
I feel pretty good watching that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Greg Reese did anything.
I'm reading about New York City. Under New York City's new Community Opportunity Purchase Act, owners of certain multifamily residential buildings, typically 3+ units with significant issues or expiring affordability, must offer the property to pre-approved nonprofits and housing groups first before listing it publicly, giving them the right of first refusal. Now, I don't know when this came into effect. In essence, if you own an eligible property in New York City, you generally must go through this initial COPA process before freely selling on the open market, potentially involving government-approved entities.
I can't believe we've been on here 47 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a date. I guess this was December. No, November it started.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I don't really like talking about New York, but I love talking about New York because you're a New Yorker, and it's interesting for me.
So
you can
listen,
tell me lots of things I don't know, and how excited you were when Mandari got in.
I think a lawsuit is needed. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, protests, but people aren't aware of this to the extent, right? So somebody needs to remember during COVID, all the lawsuits. Okay, it took a while. I don't know that that's going to take so long in this case because I think things are going to blow up faster. But I think somebody needs to. So you own a multifamily home, you have to have some money. You know what I mean? It would give you the means to say this is bullshit. I'm hiring a lawyer to file. But I'm sure trust me when I tell you, there are a group of knuckleheads who are attorneys, okay?
Yeah.
Educated attorneys who are probably sitting in some kind of networking group or, a professional group that they have saying, oh, you guys, here's the new law that, you need to be aware of, because they're always advising everyone of the new laws as they come on the books. They love to do that. The new tax law, the new this. And I guarantee you there's knuckleheads going, yeah, now, even though they're pissed. Yeah, now, if you're in New York City, you have to you have to make sure that you are in compliance with the COPA laws. And I was in a meeting about 2 years ago. I forgot what the frig the new fucking law was coming. And he was advising everyone, corporately of what this was. And I said, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah. I go, how many lawyers are aware of this? He's like, well, no, we all are, we get notified by blah, blah. I said, none of you are banding together to protest this? I mean, you know the law, you should know the Constitution. Like I forgot what it was, but it was absurd. And this particular gentleman said, well, yes, we've actually got a group of us that, okay, so I was happy to hear that. I don't know where it went, but they're like robots, these friggin' tax attorneys and accountants, and like, we have to abide by, I can't tell you, I'm a one person.
I mean, they're all taught in a certain way and they have to follow an agenda. It's like anything. It's like the medical industry or politics, isn't it? They all have to follow the party narrative. These lawyers are taught in a certain way, the bar.
I'm saying, like, but don't you stop and think? And so I'm like a one person, I'm just a coach, right? I have a corporation, just so that I'm protected, whatever. And I remember my accountant was telling me, as a corporation, you need to take whatever the frig it's called. You have to go and take the training for sexual harassment. I said, really? I said, who am I harassing? I'm the only person that works there. When I sexually harass myself? I said, I don't know about that, but okay. I said, but you mean like with my clients? Like it sexually harass them? I said, I see them on Zoom. I mean, so he said, well, it's just the rule. I went, I'm going to tell you an ancient old Italian sign language that you could interpret any way you want.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah. We have discussed that, haven't we?
Yeah. So, so anyway, whatever, that was that. But go ahead. So you were about to say, did you find that video you were looking for or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I thought he did a video about the bells and stuff, but
I remember that. It was like a docu-style talking about how they removed.
Well, Greg Reese, the Reese Report, does some
Yes.
amazing videos, all about 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can find that.
So what do you think? So let's make some predictions. Just off the top of our head, no basis, no real going down any kind of real research. But we've got this COPA thing now. We've got the call to prayer that's happening.
Just explain that COPA law again, very quickly.
Essentially, what it says is that if you own, it says certain multi-family residential buildings, and they say typically 3+ units, okay? You must offer the property to pre-approved nonprofits and housing groups first before listing it publicly. So normally you'd want to sell your house, you would just list it, right? You call a realtor, you put up a sign. Now they're saying before you could do that, you have to,
yeah. If BlackRock or someone wants to buy it off you first.
Well, it says, so this is the summary. In essence, if you own an eligible property in New York City, you generally must go through this initial COPA process before freely selling it on the open market, potentially involving government-approved entities. And they say some of the details to all this is the owner must notify New York City's Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, of their intent to sell. Then you have to notify nonprofits. So the Housing Preservation and Development Department notifies a list of qualified nonprofits and tenant groups. Then there's interest and offer, which says these groups get a window, say, for example, 25 to 60 days to express interest, and then another window, 80 to 90 days to make a bona fide offer. So now you're talking about 2 plus 3. You're talking about 5-6 months, right?
Yeah.
Of just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, right? Waiting for then the right to match. If the owner receives a third-party offer, the nonprofit gets a chance to match it. So my question is why?
Yeah.
That would be my first question. Why?
Well,
Why? Like, why do I have to do this? Why? What? Why? I mean, we know why, but you know, it's like communism. That's what they're trying to show.
yeah, well, let's hope, you know, what Trump's doing and all these things is that it's going to take all these, it's going to be a much fairer system. You know, people will be able to buy a home that's affordable, because these landlords are having it off, aren't they? And they are, the rents are extraordinarily high. Worldwide, people are struggling in this country for sure, and where you are, and you know, all over the place. And it's because it's a big club and we ain't in it. And
Well,
you know, they're turning it around.
Well, let's break it down. First of all, in a place like New York, I can't speak about other places. The reason rents are so high is because all the expenses are so high, right? I mean, they've just made inflation so prevalent. You have property taxes that are out of control, right? And depending on whether you have a residential home or a commercial property, the commercial properties have even higher property taxes. You know what I'm saying? There's all these things. You need insurance, you need this, you need that. So now they're putting another layer on this, right? Let's say you want to just sell your home. You could get an offer within, I don't know, anywhere from 24 to hours to a month, but you can't, because now you have to take 2 months to go through this process. And then those nonprofits have a right to have up to 3 months, right, to decide whether they're going to make an offer. So now you have Trump on the other side saying, okay, look, it's not right. Young people should be able to afford a home. And that's something that they're not able to anymore because of all these, all these factors. So now he's going to start making things better. And you got a guy like Mondami who's making things worse. So yet again, another psyop to say,
yeah, and
maybe this guy Trump is onto something, and this communist mayor that's in isn't. I mean, right?
Yeah, and there's a reason that he was standing next to Trump in the office in front of the press, calling Trump the fascist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
very,
look what he's doing.
Very,
you know,
beautiful script.
You know, that's excellent. So your point was predictions.
Yeah.
Before COPA, you said COPA and something else. New York.
COPA? The subway's going up now. All the costs, right? He was going to give everything for free. All these things we're going to, right? I mean, so the question to me is, I wonder how many people really believed that. Right? I mean, people are stupid, but are they that stupid? You know?
Nah.
Especially the jaded people in New York, you know? So we know more than likely he wasn't duly elected.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens with that anyway, because it's interesting to watch. But no, you said, right, to change the subject, let's make some predictions.
Yeah, just in general, like so now we're in the middle of January almost, a weekend, let's say, to January. We have.
It's just a quick question here for you. Lisa, what would the offer be though? Not market value.
Yeah, I mean, what they're saying is, what happens is that you as the owner have to offer the property, like you have to go through this process whereby you have to let the pre-approved, apparently, nonprofits and housing groups. So who are they pre-approved by? The government somehow, some way. And then you have to you have to notify them that you're selling your property, and then they're allowed to make an offer. So they get sort of the right of first refusal. And basically what they're saying is that this whole process can delay sales or add different complexities to sellers. They're just trying to bust the chops of people that are selling, properties. You would hope someone would step up. I mean, there's a lot of commercial real estate going on every day, and someone would step up and say, fuck this.
Yeah. So I was just looking at silver prices. So yeah,
well, so that's what I was saying about the prediction. So here you have cities around the country that they're trying to wake up with these ridiculous things, right? Like New York is one
And
example.
at the same time, Trump is starting to take taxes away, take licensing away.
Yes.
Hold the insurance companies accountable, hold the medical industry accountable, doing everything the people want, while all these communists are doing exactly the opposite.
Yes. So I'm
Beautiful.
saying is how do, like, we're all looking at certain things, like we're looking at, and I'm not saying like this is the only thing, but we're looking at like the RV, right? And everything that represents, you know, that you know, all the currencies are going to be revalued, so there's parity and everything is more fair and abundance. Then you're looking at all these institutions that Trump and his group are taking down. You have ICE working on taking bad people out of the country, and like you said, you have this whole communist aspect of things. So what I guess I'm saying is they're working against, I mean that, you know, from the surface, they're working against each other. So you've got people talking about how a lot of Nasara Jassar is going to be put into effect, and, you know, all this stuff, but then you've got still this craziness going on. So I guess my point is, can this all be sort of done in a couple of months? I don't see that.
Well, the good thing is as well, because you've got 50 states over there, people are looking at their neighbours going, it just seems so much better over there. Why is it shit here? You know, in these Democrat-run states, the Democratic Party will cease to exist. Probably the Republican Party too, with all the rhinos and stuff. You don't know, and there'd be something new, but can't tell the people the truth. You must show them. And
So
they're being shown.
Absolutely. But so what I'm saying is, what is going to be that catalyst? Like, are the people really going to rise up? I guess that's my point. Like, what's going to be the catalyst? Like,
I think the catalyst,
or is it going to just get out of hand? Like, all these staged things are going to get so bad they call the military in, and it's going to shock the people. Like, I still get curious because I don't really believe, truth be told, me personally, that we're going to just all be sitting around one day and this EBS is going to go off and like make people aware.
Well, no, I think the catalyst is going to be, I mean, there's reports now coming out of expect a major false flag event. I'll just try and find that on Stormy Joe's. But I think the catalyst is going to be the 2020 election still.
So the Maduro,
yeah, whether Maduro is going to be a part of that or not, because obviously, right, we're still seeing all this kayfabe stuff. Maduro's been taken to court and he's pleaded not guilty, right, saying I am still the president of Venezuela. You've got the Chinese condemning Trump for the Maduro arrest and saying he wants to go back, and we know Trump, Putin, and Xi are working together. You've now got Russia condemning the US military for taking over that oil tanker. You know, so it's what was George Lewis saying? Trump is not here to wake people up. He is here to create this chaos, right, and stuff, so that the people rise and wake up themselves.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, I would think, humbly, that Maduro could be a real linchpin to the whole thing, because he pleads not guilty. So now what does that mean? Of course he has to plead not guilty, because if he pleaded guilty, it's kind of over, right? It's got to plead not guilty so all the information can come out. And I think this is going to be extremely fast-tracked, if you ask me, in terms of a court case, right? Where now we're going to find out the list, right? We've all seen the list of all the senators and Congress people who were connected to him in some way. I just think that this Maduro thing was on every single news channel, local and national. People, you have to literally be living under a rock not to know that just happened, right? Or in a coma. So now that's forefront in everybody's mind and everything, but it's the perfect opportunity to start bringing out the election fraud and how Venezuela was involved, you know, not not only with the drugs, right, all that, but all the other nefarious things and how that relates to the US. And maybe that's somewhat of the linchpin that gets people to at least know the facts. I don't know if they're going to wake up en masse, although you will have more people coming over. But I'm saying, like, where people start to make that connection and it leaves the door open to talk about COVID, you know, the whole COVID thing. I mean, it would seem like a very logical path to truth, don't you think?
Yeah. But if the Supreme Court or the military tells the people that the 2020 election was overturned, you've got 80 to 90% of people awake there straight away, haven't you? You know? English Orchard said some talk of a major false flag in the UK for Starmer to blame Russia. It'll be our own and will be quickly proved. Yeah, there's loads of things. And that's interesting, that, because woohoo. So Stormy Patriot Joe posted this. Q538 dated January the 14th. Beware of a major false flag attempts this week. Know your surroundings. DJT, beware, all caps, on January the 7th. So January 7th, add a week and you get January 14th. So all United States defence contractors and the defence industry as a whole, beware, as he's put it in capital letters. While we make the best military equipment in the world, no other country is even close. Defence contractors are currently issuing massive dividends to their shareholders and massive stock buyouts at the expense and detriment of investing in plants and equipment. This situation will no longer be allowed or tolerated. Also, executive pay packages in the defence industry are exorbitant and unjustifiable, given how slowly these companies are delivering vital equipment to our military and our allies. Salary, stock options, and every other form of compensation are far too high for these executive defence companies are not producing our great military equipment rapidly enough, and once produced, not maintaining it properly or quickly. From this moment forward, these executives must build new and modern production plants, both for delivering and maintaining. He goes on there. I don't need to read all that out. But he did that yesterday on January the 7th. Stormy's obviously Q drops.
That's a week, you know, roughly that.
Yeah.
He's talking
the first
about.
and 14th, 2018. So that will be an 8-year delta. Beware, in capitals, of a major false flag. Attempts this week. Know your surroundings. Attempts this week. So, yeah, like he said, Stormy, January the 7th, 7 days, and that is the 14th. So that's a week's time. Sorry, I didn't even have that on the screen, did I?
No, we were all listening. Hey, there's a funny video. I mean, just need a little lightheartedness. Did you see the video? I know it's on my Telegram page, Waken Patriots of Long Island, of the real, it's called the real, the real capture. Wait, how do they say it? Of Maduro. It's very funny. If you're able to show it, it might just give a little.
Yeah, where is it then?
It's not, if you start at the bottom and you scroll up.
Yeah,
I think it was 9:02. I think it was like 9:02 a.m. is the okay.
Well, what you can do if you get a video like that, you can just forward it to your own group and it puts it last.
Oh, okay. It's only like 4 up or 5 up, but sure. I'll do that for you. It's very silly.
Is it Trump going, I'm going to burn the whole... Oh, the original footage.
Original footage, yeah.
Yeah, I did watch it earlier.
With my swagger, hopping there with you, I got places to go. People to see, time is precious. I look at my Cartier out of control. Just like my mind where I'm going, the women, the shorties know nothing but clothes. No stopping at my Pirelli's on. Unlike my jewelry, that's always on. I know the storm is coming, my pockets keep telling me it's gonna shower. Call up my homies, it's on and popping the night, cause it's meant to be ours. Keep a fader with.
So that other guy in the video there is obviously Vibe with Alex Edits, isn't he? He made that.
Yeah.
And put Trump and JD in with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny. But you gotta love these guys that do that, right? They're very creative the way they can put those things out, the speed at which and the creativity of the silliness.
Yeah.
So look, I think I am hopeful that now remember we were talking to Sheila and we asked her like why New York, and we really didn't get an answer. I'm just still curious why
Well,
it's New
I do
York.
think there are certain things certain people can't say. But have you heard back from her? Because she did such a good interview the other day that we started talking about London at the end in the UK. And I really want to get her back on with maybe another special
Oh yeah,
guest.
no, I sent something out to her. So wait, I just looked it up why he's being tried in New York. It says the primary reasons for his trial in this specific jurisdiction include the charges. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were indicted on multiple federal charges unsealed in January 2026, and these charges are centered on decades-long conspiracy to flood the United States with cocaine, narco-terrorism conspiracy, allegedly providing support in designated terrorist organizations like the FARC to protect drug shipments, cocaine importation conspiracy, weapons offenses. Now, legal jurisdiction and choice of venue. The Southern District of New York was chosen as the venue due to both historical precedent and specific federal laws. So, venue laws. Under federal law, crimes committed abroad can be prosecuted in the judicial district where the defendant is first brought. U.S. forces intentionally flew Maduro to Stewart Air National Guard Base in Newburgh, New York, which falls within the Southern District of New York, to ensure the case was tried there. The case history. The Southern District of New York has been building this case for over 15 years with superseding indictments dating back to March of 2020 during the first Trump administration. Institutional expertise. The Southern District is renowned for handling complex international narco-terrorism cases involving foreign leaders and high-profile terrorists. So that at least gives us an answer, right? And he's got a defense team, apparently, led by attorney Barry Pollock, who has characterized his capture as a military abduction and is expected to argue that Maduro is entitled to sovereign immunity as a head of state, though legal experts note the U.S. does not recognize him as the legitimate leader of Venezuela. So, I mean, we will follow this. But like I said, I was kind of curious why it was New York. So they've been obviously building this case. And
English Hawk just made a great comment there, because you've all seen this. Maduro had 4 clothes changes in his time. Now, do we think that is normal? To change your clothes 4 times
right
during your arrest sequence of footage?
Yeah.
No. I think the White Hat's put 4 different outfits on him so we'd look. Now, where did you say he's been? Because he's been held at MDC Brooklyn, isn't he?
Let me see where he's held. Detention, yeah, they're currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn.
Right. Do you know who else is being held there?
Was that Epstein?
Nicholas Maduro, Lucio Mangione, Sean Combs, R. Kelly, Sam Bankman-Fried, El Chapo, Michael Cohen, Ghislaine Maxwell, Martin and Al Sharpton. I didn't even know Al Sharpton had been lifted, right? But look at these players that have been massive in the last few years, and they're all in there.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That's very interesting. And we know they're all tied together somehow, some way too, right? I mean, obviously there's threads.
Yeah. So it's very interesting what's going on. I know we've discussed so much in the last week that it's, hopefully, many people watching this have already watched all the stuff we've done recently and probably don't want to hear us talking about it all again. But apart from that shooting we've got in Minneapolis and things, there's not really a lot more to talk about, is there? You got any things you want to discuss?
No, I would love to get some input from you guys, other people you'd love to see us get on the show. I mean, we have a lot of people that we're working on right now. We have a growing list. I think you guys are aware that we're pretty much booked for the entire month of January with some really cool guests that we have on. And now we're moving into February. And then March, way out in March, we do have Ricardo Bossi coming on. So we're so excited about that. But if there's anybody else, from either side of the pond, and we have a list of people that we're reaching out to now, but we just would love to hear, your suggestions, and we'll do our best to get those people on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I did put a little message out to one of my English contacts saying, can you help me getting any of a list of these people on, and I shall reach out again in the next few days.
Sasha Stone. I have contacts with for Sasha.
Yeah.
Let's see if we could get okay, I'm adding him to the list.
Sasha Stone was one of my favorite people to listen to in the first 2-3 years, all through COVID, because he speaks like I speak. There's no point apologizing for swearing if you're using it righteously, against these people that have, what they've done to us.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. When we were talking about swearing the other day, and we were talking, Simone was there when we had our little Saturday show, and we were talking about it a bit. It really, I forgot to say, it really makes me, well, it doesn't make me laugh, actually. It just makes me roll my eyes. Is when people put something on their Facebook status, right, and they spell the word fuck, but they take the U out and put a star there, to actually make it more polite. When everyone reads it as fuck, it doesn't achieve.
Is that a censoring thing? They don't pick up that stuff, do they? I wonder if it's a censoring thing.
No, I don't. No, I think
because even in that video we watched, she blocked out certain words were
on Facebook. If I copy and paste anything or do anything, I never spell the words election, vaccine, anything like that, or I put a 1 in instead of the I, or I put a 0 in instead of an O. Any word like that on Facebook, I still do that.
You do. So I'm just wondering if that's why they do it with the word fuck,
No, because the people I see do it, I know why they're doing it.
Well, they're doing it to be nice.
Yeah. Whereas if you're trying to be nice, you wouldn't do that at all anyway, would you? Wouldn't put words up like that. Because you don't read it, do you? As in star CK.
No.
No. Absolutely not.
So now, so let's see. Tomorrow we've got Jason on.
Well, I'm thinking, listen, we're talking about our new website. Our website is in the process, and I'm going to see if he's watching at 1 minute and 18, right? When I ask him later. We've got, links to our videos and all that stuff, and it's going to look really nice and brilliant stuff, but we're going to put some other people's videos, some really good videos over this great awakening. Joe M, the plan to save the world. For people that see this stuff for the first time, can have a look at these and go, oh my God, wow. And I did a little list, and we'll go through that between ourselves, Elisa.
Yep.
But that maybe that 2-minute RDS clip, and things like that. Just
a bunch. Yeah.
Steve Patriots maybe, and these things. But hopefully that that Steve Patriots clip is gospel. But it's just maybe that Lara Logan clip talking about.
Let me add something here. Mel Carmine did something really cool. Like on his site, he has sort of the the whole educational system of the QFS and crypto and, you know, the history of money and all this kind of stuff, right? It would be really cool for us to have our website be a source for the awakening with sort of, I don't want to say in an order, but there is a certain order, you know, to the build up. And we could do that as well with that, whether it's the Joe M, whether it's, you know, the Robert David Steele, lots of things. And you and I can work together to figure out what those are. It's like a resource for people to come to and people to send people to. Like, just start watching this shit and you'll start to understand what's going on. And honestly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say, even though it's long, we could still put links to some of the longer things, like put a link to the Fall of the Cabal, put a link to Out of the Shadows, put a link to the Nick Alvear, you know, the greatest show on earth. Yeah. Like, I would love for that to be such a resource, you know, for people to be able to. Well,
when we did my website, and I've got that Dark to Light video, just that one video on mine, Jay did say to me that I can put a video of any length whatsoever in there. So potentially we can do that.
That'll be so great.
Potentially we could have another section. We're giving him some more work now. Great Awakening videos, right? And we could have short videos and documentaries.
Perfect.
And have two sections. And then if you're listening, right, we'll have 17 boxes in each ready for us to fill up. All right?
That would be excellent.
But no, I was just thinking, because of doing that, why don't we watch, right, the Joe M videos now?
Okay.
I don't know. It's 45 minutes long, and everyone, you know, it's the Joe M compilation. It's the Plan to Save the World. We Are the Plan. Killing a Mockingbird. COVID-19. Dark to Light. And the American Dream, or whatever that one's called on the end.
That would be brilliant.
That'd sort of take us into about 2 hours for the show.
And just a quick announcement. Well, first of all, I see Graham Moore. I just added him to the list.
Yeah, I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah. And then and then we'll just kind of also sign off, just like with a little preview for you want to do a little preview for next week?
Yeah. Well, we'll still be here at the end of Joe M anyway. I can't set that as an outro video, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Graham Moore, English constitutionist, to come on. We have got next week or the week after David Alderman coming on, who I know personally, who is the people's lawyer. So if anyone's got any questions you want us to ask David, make sure you come and watch that one, because he will be speaking about all these things, council tax and, you know, not answering your door and, you know, common law and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is great. But David comes out in yellow boards a lot with us and those sorts of things, which is great. But yeah, okay. Well, should we do that then, people?
Yes.
We're going to have 45 minutes of this. And this is brilliant, because Joe M's Plan to Save the World, which is the first 13 minutes, is one of the best videos you ever see. There is a little bit of repetition in other videos and stuff, but this 45 minutes is just absolutely superb. So if you want to watch that, that's quality. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hi, this is Joe with Building the Kingdom Network. This video is a compilation of all 6 parts of Q, the Plan to Save the World. This was done by Joe M at Storm Is Upon Us. He did a fantastic job with this. Share this far and wide. The world is waking up. Sit back, relax, open up your minds, and enjoy.
Have you ever wondered why we go to war? Or why you never seem to be able to get out of debt? Why there is poverty, division, and crime? What if I told you there was a reason for it all? What if I told you it was done on purpose? What if I told you that those who were corrupting the world, poisoning our food, and igniting conflict were themselves about to be permanently eradicated from the earth? You might think that an idealistic fantasy, Well, let me tell you a story. We acknowledge there are criminals, of course. They rob your house, they steal your phone. They can murder you too if they think they can get away with it. We have all experienced criminals in one way or another. Criminals, as we know, are those who choose personal gain over the rights of others and have no regard for the law. But here is where you need to expand your thinking. Criminals can also succeed in business and politics and can be elected as our leaders. If a criminal became the president, imagine what they could achieve. They could use the full weight of their executive power to commit much larger crimes and ensure they and their friends were enriched to the fullest extent possible. A criminal president could create alliances with other criminal presidents and then collaborate on more global criminal activities. Anything goes. Drug running, human trafficking, whatever makes the big bucks. The 20th century was turbulent with war, economic disaster, famines, and displacement. We have always accepted these things as just human nature and simply the way the world works. Something inevitable and due to the weaknesses of human nature that drive us to these actions. This is where we were all tragically wrong. You are not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. So how can we just assume that it is human nature that is driving all this pain and misery? What if it wasn't human nature at all, and as a result of something more deliberate? We were taught that capitalism was the cause of a massive rich-poor divide and the reason for poverty, which in turn is the reason for war, crime, and starvation. Others were taught that communism, a system of equal wealth across all people, was really to blame for the mess. But you see, folks, it is none of these things. It is not our nature to fight and be racist. It is not in our nature to rob from others. What you must learn is that it was the criminals all along. Yes, they got power. More power than a criminal should ever have. They rose to the top of media companies that control our news and entertainment. They ascended to the top of the banking system, also to the Oval Office, to Brussels, to the Vatican, to the Crown. They crept in quietly. They became leaders of agricultural companies who have control over our food supply. Also big pharmaceutical companies, the ones we trust to help us when we're sick. Nobody stopped them, and they just recruited more criminals to help them. First, they accumulated the world's wealth. They invented a system of money called central banking, which lends money to governments with interest, placing countries into eternal debt. People's wealth got less. Their wealth got more. Much more. When a criminal is already as rich as they can get, then protecting their ill-gotten gains becomes the priority. Angry citizens tired of being poor are a major obstacle and can revolt if they suffer enough. The criminals needed to prevent this. So they diverted attention to the last remaining competitor, the people of the world. You and me. We were not happy being ruled by criminals and having to work 3 jobs just to survive. They know we won't accept it. So they use their control of the media to set black against white, woman against man, young against old, Muslim against Christian. They convinced us we were the problem so that we would fight and destroy ourselves. To get it done faster, they attacked all aspects of humanity that make us strong. Like family, using their influence over culture, they popularized lifestyle choices that led to a surge in broken homes, lost youth, and substance abuse. I could talk all day about how else they deliberately weakened us and it would turn your stomach. We were just trying to get on with living. So where are all the good guys? Good people just want to get married, have kids, make a living, and enjoy their liberty. Well, there were good guys, many. One became the President of the United States in January 1961. He knew about these criminals and wanted them gone. He knew their intentions for us all, and he wanted to fight them. Sadly, he had no idea how powerful they had become. Reagan also had good intentions for the American people. He knew this criminal mafia controlled almost everything by the stage, including the powerful rogue intelligence agencies. His economic policies were promising, but the criminals needed a weak America to hold on to their power. Reagan was shown with a bullet that a growing U.S. economy and prosperous citizens were not what the criminals wanted. It was looking pretty grim for good people. Every time someone wanted to stand up and do the right thing, they got stopped. Were we ever to be freed? These criminals are also known as the Deep State, or Cabal, because of how they control things behind the scenes. Every president after Reagan was one of these Deep State criminals, and their empire got even stronger. With each bad president came new depths America and the world would sink. The world collapsed into darkness. Do you need me to tell you how? Destroyed factories, declining job numbers, sicker people, opioids, destruction of Iraq, Syria, and Yemen with pointless war, displacement of people into Europe, ISIS, terrorism, collapsed governments, poverty, and genocide. Total misery. Do you think that was inevitable? Hell no. Well, here is where things start to take a new turn. When the full picture comes to be known, it will forever be regarded as the greatest story ever told. Well, here is the top line. Some good people still held positions of power. They valued humanity and the rule of law. While the criminals discussed their game plan at the annual Bilderberg meetings, the good guys were making plans of their own. The information age was coming to change history forever. As the internet flooded into every home and appliances became smarter, and when people started carrying tracking devices, an opportunity to put an end to criminal control over the world was emerging. We became connected, trackable, and surveilled. But so did they. They became dependent, just like we did, on email, SMS, instant communication. It made crime much easier, but it also put them on a grid that, if accessed by the right people, would expose their crimes to the public and end their iron grip on us once and for all. In this new age of information, it was thought that the military should also have its own intelligence agency to focus on cybercrime and espionage. They called this the NSA, the National Security Agency. Here we had every phone call, email, and text from every device stored and archived. Whether it be someone making a doctor's appointment or the deep state setting up a massive heroin purchase from the Taliban. In the right hands, it would be enough information to expose the entire sinister criminal plot to rob us blind and wipe us out. Hold that thought. Now I need to explain the plan. The good guys were devising a plan to reclaim the world from the cabal and return it to the people. It would involve alliances with multiple countries, since the criminals had global rat lines, trade, and other infrastructure in place that would need their cooperation. It came down to two choices for America: launch a military coup to seize the government from whichever cabal puppet was in the White House at the time, or win legitimately, take control of the NSA, expose the criminals for what they are, and arrest them all. Obviously, the first option would be very troubling for the public. With people still preoccupied with cabal-engineered social issues, they would likely revolt and hurt themselves and others. No, it would have to be the latter. So they needed a candidate who could win, and who could win big. Many states like California had been so heavily inundated by criminals that even the voting machines were electronically set up to swing votes any which way. It would need to be a very decisive victory. Good patriots in the U.S. military and their global partners asked Trump to run for president so they could take back control of America legitimately without alarming the public. Trump was a good choice, obviously, because he overcame the voter fraud and won. But he was a patriot, and he was loved and admired by the public. He was not interested in joining the cabal because they hated America, and he did not agree with them on that point. As soon as he showed interest in taking power, they activated their media assets to viciously turn on him. That's when we saw the sudden hatred emerge. Even when he won, the cabal still had no idea what he was a part of, and the sophisticated plan that was about to unfold against them. Shocked at their loss, they mobilized their full arsenal of intelligence, media, money, and technology to try and take back power. There are people at the top of the DOJ and FBI that put together a plan to frame Trump and have him impeached. This is where we come back to the NSA again. All messages were stored and could be used to expose this plot and prevent Trump's overthrow. An entire book will be written about the first 2 years of Trump's presidency: false flag terror attacks, downed planes, missile alerts, assassination attempts. Here's the point. The world is currently experiencing a dramatic covert war of biblical proportions. literally the fight for Earth, between the forces of good and evil. I can't put it in simpler terms, but I can say it appears the good guys are winning. The Cabal had complete control over North Korea. They hijacked the Kim dynasty, took them hostage, and worked to build up a nuclear arsenal to threaten the world. Kim Jong-un suddenly embracing peace was simply because the deep state were beaten and driven out. ISIS was also destroyed in the year following Trump's win. We are all starting to see the pattern now, that enough time has passed, that our biggest global concerns are starting to recede, and peace is returning. It is all evidence that the good guys are winning the war. But we are still in the middle. While a lot is improving, it still puzzles many that most of these known criminals are still free, especially the higher-ups like Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, and Obama. That is coming in the next chapter of the story. That's why we have Q. The good guys with control over the NSA began the Q intelligence dissemination program to invoke an online grassroots movement that came to be called the Great Awakening. It started on underground internet channels and then moved to the mainstream. Q has been a fun distraction for those who follow world events and desire truth, but it is about to begin a much more important and necessary phase, keeping the public informed when the deep state war breaks out onto the surface. By this, I mean high-profile arrests. Yes, folks, the criminals I'm referring to are famous politicians, actors, singers, CEOs, and celebrities. People who have earned our trust, respect, and admiration. They have done very bad things that are all fully known and documented, and they will be severely punished. Those of us who have followed Q since the beginning will be here to help you make sense of the coming events. We are among the first to realize that our petty partisan divisions are just trivial distractions, and we are all enslaved by a hidden enemy. We realized that the problem was never capitalism or socialism, Democrat or Republican, black or white, Muslim or Christian. We know it was just very powerful criminals who had too much power. Fellow slaves, it's time to buckle your seatbelt, recognize your true enemy, and embrace a new future that we all owe to the brave patriots who risked their lives to achieve this victory against the greatest force of evil the world has ever known. May God bless America. Something is going on. Some of us see it, some of us feel it. It's time to expand your thinking. You will need to reset everything you thought you knew about the world, about the people you trust, about history, about yourself. Let me tell you a story. For a very long time, our world has been under the growing influence of a vast transgenerational criminal mafia that was able to rise up to the highest levels of power. We didn't know because they talked and acted just like you and me. We thought we could recognize true criminals by their words and actions, but were deceived by their sophisticated speech, wealth, education, beauty, and power. Through a system of threats, blackmail, and bribery, they would come to occupy the highest levels of power in government, corporations, and education. You may know them as the deep state or cabal. Most dangerously of all, they achieve almost total influence over the media, their primary means of controlling the good people of the world who were just trying to get on with living. They used this power to slowly convince us that we were the problem, that we were a threat to each other. They used race, gender, and religion to set us apart, and rewrote history to validate these false claims. They funded both sides of wars just to crush our potential to prosper and succeed as a peace-loving and creative force of good for the world. Now, with their firm grasp on the media, we drank in their entertainment and lies as they began their final phase, the total takedown of America. We were the brightest remaining beacon of freedom and humanity's last hope. They knew that if they could take America, the rest of the world would follow. They cut deals that led us to hand over total control of the money system to a private central bank, the Federal Reserve. This made it possible to influence Washington, D.C., and most of our presidents since then were beholden to the criminals in one way or another. Things took a really bad turn when they concentrated vast power into the hands of the many civilian intelligence agencies throughout the world. They said they were there to protect us. Instead, these agencies were catastrophically weaponized to boost drug and human trafficking cartels, assassinate political opponents, undermine the military, and change regimes of foreign governments who did not want to adopt the centralized system of money control. You might think they would choose simply to remain in the shadows, running their criminal activities while we carried on with our lives. But as long as there was freedom for the people to prosper, the cabal were always at risk of being discovered and shut down. There was no way to continue without a plan to eliminate all threats to their survival, even if it meant imposing a single world government under their jurisdiction, where no national identity, police force, or military could stop them. They called it globalism. Exploiting our emotions and our instincts of compassion, they found a way to justify dismantling cultures, borders, and national identity under the guise of social justice, creating false narratives of racism, colonialism, and capitalism to destabilize and ultimately collapse societies so they were no longer secure enough to reject this dark plan for the world. Where there was no history to distort, they would use wars to force a catastrophic mass migration of peoples across borders to destabilize and weaken cultural identity. When we didn't accept this, they called us intolerant and shamed us into silence. By 2008, America was in advanced stages of economic decline, with disastrous trade deals leading to widespread loss of jobs and a devastating financial crisis. The cabal had now absorbed another extensive criminal empire that was aligned with a twisted and radical form of Islam. Realizing the competition could threaten their goals, they decided to cooperate and agree to mutual terms. Now a hostile foreign enemy was able to insert a subordinate into the U.S. political system who would become the president. Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal funded Obama's Harvard education and took power by proxy, picking his entire cabinet while buying vast quantities of control in our largest media companies. The Western faction of the cabal was different. It was another kind of sick altogether. A dark and deeply sinister death cult with a strong reliance on symbolism and numerology, with levels of cruelty unimaginable to all right-thinking people. The reach and scale the secret society had achieved would have sent destabilizing shockwaves across the world were it ever to be publicly exposed. They were highly skilled at living just below the surface as they worked their way into the United States presidency. With both factions of the global mafia now in control, are you ready to hear what they had planned? Make sure you're sitting down. They installed rogue operators in government. They opened back doors to leak highly classified military intel and top-secret special access programs. They cut military funding and weakened the command of generals with irrational new rules of engagement. They worked to dismantle NASA and end our supremacy in space. They infiltrated and exposed defensive military intelligence programs that reduced our ability to detect foreign and domestic threats. They used our trusted agencies to target and weaken political opponents. They relaxed our borders and enabled passage of millions of illegals and violent criminal gangs. They moved money to fund global terrorism, resulting in groups like ISIS moving to capture vast territories throughout the world. In 2016, the Cabal Alliance had hoped to retain power. If you are not yet chilled to the bone by the picture that is forming about their intentions for us all, let me tell you what was to come next. Through international climate change scams, they would have siphoned trillions of remaining wealth, eliminate the last good guys in government, and withdraw total funding from the U.S. military, handing over the responsibility of our defense to the United Nations. They would revise the Constitution to weaken our ability to fight back, ban the sale of firearms to eliminate our self-defense, insert their people into the Supreme Court, remove the Electoral College system to neuter our voting power, and totally eliminate alternative media to shield them from exposure. They instigated a covert deal to move large quantities of our uranium to their captured states in North Korea and Iran to build up a nuclear arsenal that would threaten the world. For this, they blamed Russia, a growing force of opposition to their ambitions of global control. By casting Putin as an enemy and blaming him for this illegal uranium deal, they had planned a devastating nuclear world war between America and Russia that would have exhausted the last two remaining pillars of freedom for the world, accelerating the horrific endgame that had become inevitable. This cabal miraculously lost power in 2016 when a brave operation, led by a U.S. military alliance and their global partners, were able to return power legitimately over to the light. They had a plan of their very own, one that was many decades in the making. With Donald Trump selected for the role of president, the people of America were slowly awakened to the reality of the world they live in. With so much hidden and lied about in the media channels we had come to trust for our news and entertainment, this alliance of good set into motion a sophisticated strategy of dismantling the vast network of corruption that had almost completely overcome every level of government, industry, and the legal system. They knew they had to follow the laws of the land as they were originally intended. Otherwise, they themselves would be delegitimized, even though they were just trying to free us from the silent stranglehold of tyranny that we had come to accept as normal. The panicking deep state used any remaining power they had left to try and save themselves. Each day for 2 years was a careful and meticulously planned balancing act between public perception and the job that needed to be done. Moving too fast would shock and scare a sleeping public still living in the prison of the mind that was created for them. But after all this, it appears now that not only are we winning, but we have won. The trajectory of this great storm is now radiantly clear. Now we look forward to a new future, thanks to the brave patriots who risked everything to save our world. This time for good. There is not a person alive who has experienced what a world without this darkness could be like. A world of free energy that was kept from us to force our dependency on their fossil fuel monopolies. Abolishment of income tax that was illegally imposed to pay back interest on loans taken from the cabal banking system. Released cures for our most deadly diseases. Unleashed space technologies to open frontiers we never dreamed possible. New technologies creating millions of jobs and yielding a global human renaissance the likes of which we have never seen. Fellow Americans and citizens of the world, now it is our turn to shine. Wherever we are, we will become the plan when we choose to reject what they call globalism. We recognize the words they use to bend us to their will, and we say no more. It's time to turn off the media, follow your instincts, trust yourself, and be the plan. May God bless America and the world. By now, you may already be aware that America was on the verge of being completely destroyed by a gang of very powerful criminals who had made their way right into the heart of power. We didn't notice because they had become our most trusted leaders, entertainers, and politicians. But then things changed. In 2016, patriots in the U.S. military took back power legitimately with the election of Donald Trump. Plunged directly into the damage and sickening destruction caused to America and the world. They got to work dismantling the branches of this powerful secret shadow government that was in the process of siphoning off America's vast wealth to their global masters. After 2 years of a dramatic covert operation that was to include the gutting of the corrupt CIA, FBI, and Justice Department, they now face the last remaining pillar of the deep state, their vast media empire. They were using this unparalleled power to confuse the people of the world and distract from their criminality and subversion. They recognized that division and hate among people was the most effective way to keep us occupied and ignorant while they robbed us blind, engineered senseless trade deals, and destroyed distant lands for their own personal gain. The mainstream media, both in America and beyond, now remains the gravest threat to the people of the world. The battle for the American soul began in October 2017 with an NSA intelligence operation that we call Q. For the first time, the people were shown the reality of the world they live in, the extent of the corruption and crime that had been destroying their society for decades. Most of all, it showed them the path to their own liberation. Finally, on July 31st, 2018, in Tampa, Florida, President Donald Trump, avoiding the corrupt media channels by speaking directly to the people, allowed Q followers to display their support publicly. This deliberate action forced the deep state media to cover the story, as not doing so would raise a level of curiosity that could lead to a devastating mass awakening. To defend against this, they joined together in an unprecedented combined global mass media assault against Q, hoping they could deter the public from discovering the truth about our world. They call it a conspiracy, a word associated with unlawful or nefarious actions, depicting Q followers as a danger to society instead of peace-loving patriots just trying to break free from the prison of the mind that was created for them. Their attack on Q was to be just one of countless knowingly false narratives started and pushed by the criminals that control our media. They said Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 presidential election. They said he was a puppet to Putin. They claimed he would hurt relationships with our allies. They said he would collapse the economy and the stock market. We heard he was about to go to war with North Korea. They are saying he will do the same with Iran. They even said he would destroy the whole world. These fake narratives kept on coming, and they spread them with full knowledge that they were lies meant to stop the one force that could end them for good. It's time the American people and those all over the world ask themselves what is really going on. What are the people who control our media afraid of? What are they hiding? If you look, you will discover that the fake news media is not free or independent. You will see it is just a propaganda arm of the deep state. You will discover the names and faces of the cabal agents who have colluded to destroy our republic and bend us to their will. They want you divided. Divided by race. Divided by religion. Divided by political affiliation. They want this because divided you are weak. Together you are strong. It's time to research for yourself. You will find many things, among them an unprecedented number of sealed indictments filed in preparation for a mass arrest event. You will also discover an unprecedented list of corrupt CEOs who have recently been removed from their posts. You will see the same in the Senate and in Congress. And you will see the same at the top of the FBI and the Justice Department. This movement is not about one person or a group of people. It is about we, the people. The world is currently witnessing the largest mass treason event in living history. But instead of being fearful, we should be filled with hope. Instead of fighting among ourselves, we should face our only true enemy, the criminal deep state and their once invincible mainstream media apparatus. Do you want it for yourself? It's easy. Follow Q and turn them off. Stop what you're doing. I'm about to show you something you already suspect deep inside, but can't explain. The United States of America is currently in the midst of a war. Not the kind when one country attacks another with missiles or tanks. Not like warplanes dropping bombs on our Pacific Fleet. Not like a hostile neighbor launching a surprise invasion across our borders. Instead, we face a cruel and merciless enemy who invented a whole new type of war, one that threatens us now more than all the bombs in the world. They are motivated by pure greed and inconceivable cruelty, and have been silently reversing all that is good for so long that we became lulled into a state of self-destructive compliance, while they tore us apart and robbed us blind. When Patriots took back key branches of the U.S. government in 2016, the light was turned on to the vast corruption network that had infiltrated into the highest positions of power across every state. Only then did ordinary citizens begin to realize how close we had come to the end of it all. But first we must endure one last painful battle that will touch every citizen, no matter who they are. Right now, the country is being torn apart by the biggest political hoax and coordinated mass media disinformation campaign in living history. You may know it as COVID-19. Let me tell you a story. In 2015, as directed by the globalist criminal corruption network known as the Deep State, President Barack Obama authorized millions in funding for the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the location now understood to be the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. The research carried out here was to provide the agent for a global biological attack on a scale never before seen, one that would be timed for release within an election year, starting the very day unsubstantiated efforts to impeach President Trump fell apart. With their base of operations in the Democrat establishment, the Deep State Shadow Corporation embarked on a coordinated irregular warfare insurgency with multiple aims, all under the cover of a global pandemic they themselves manufactured for this purpose. Enabled by their owned and controlled corporate media monopoly, they instigated a heavy-handed and unjustifiable nationwide shutdown to reverse Trump's many economic and unemployment gains, with Democrat-controlled states suffering the harshest restrictions in the country. Trump's energetic rallies were halted, hiding from view the surging nationwide passion for his galvanizing message, while Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden was able to avoid interviews and debates where left-leaning voters would not be shown his obvious inability to govern or the emerging Ukrainian bribery scandal that earned his family millions in illicit kickbacks by abusing his office. The next major advantage of the pandemic for the deep state was the case made to the public for mail-in voting, a highly insecure practice proven to be rampant with fraud, just as the public saw in one such example when a former Philadelphia judge pled guilty to stuffing ballot boxes after being paid by what he called a Democrat political consultant. With a rapidly rising death toll needed to make the case to the public for even harsher control, normal influenza deaths for the year were recorded as COVID-19, artificially inflating the numbers. But this was only the beginning. When this did not yield enough fatalities, the deep state initiated a murderous plan to defy federal guidelines and to move infected patients into nursing homes where the highest risk age group could be found in large numbers. The deep state governors of New York, New Jersey, California, Pennsylvania, and Michigan oversaw what can only be described as a genocide of our elderly loved ones, even as the quickly constructed field hospitals and medically equipped Navy ships stood mostly empty. This horrendous act cost the lives of over 50,000 people, but gave the insurgency a death toll that would stoke the public fear needed to push ahead with their goals. In these dark times, when people had little else but the comfort of community in their faith, this too was forcibly halted when simply going to church was banned across the country under the guise of public safety. Depression and loneliness became the new epidemic, all designed to create the social conditions needed for what was to come next in their despotic plan to fracture the nation and hold on to power. Immediately upon reports of a flattening curve and a reduction in new cases, the mysterious murder of George Floyd hit the headlines. What was presented to the public as a routine instance of racially motivated police brutality turned out to be a strange and coincidental series of events involving two men who once knew each other, working security in a nightclub. This event provided the justification for the next chapter in their coordinated insurgency against the United States. The goal was to inflame civil unrest along racial lines on an emotional platform of social justice. A divided house cannot stand, and the enemy knew this all too well. Black Lives Matter was funded and designed by the corrupt Democrat establishment as a social weapon to draw crowds of well-meaning protesters into harm's way, using them as human shields while they pushed a savage insurrection on city streets. This was intensified even further by folding in the violent paramilitary group Antifa, who were given a free pass by Democrat mayors and governors to loot stores, smash up small businesses, and assault innocent bystanders. The public was shown in explicit detail how Democrat leaders refused to protect local citizens, choosing instead to provide an open road for the anarchists to destabilize civil society, allowing the innocent to be indiscriminately injured and terrorized. Knowing that lawless chaos would accelerate their aims, they began calling for the elimination of police, while evicting the National Guard, who were made available to protect the public against the worst of the violence. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser even called for the elimination of the White House fence, just days after a close call by rioters who attempted to breach the perimeter. And on June 22nd, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff proposed a House bill to amend United States Code Title 18 that would prohibit the use of military force in the event of civil unrest, an obvious attempt to weaken the commander-in-chief's ability to defend the public from the planned insurrection, which was intended to play out over the weeks and months leading up to the election.
Attorney General William Barr has appointed the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut to investigate.
The pandemic was also providing cover of a different kind. Taking place behind the scenes at the Justice Department is a far-reaching investigation into the Obama administration's weaponization of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to spy on Trump and his associates during the transition of power. With evidence now emerging that Obama officials, including Joe Biden and Obama himself, colluded to frame General Michael Flynn, they used social distancing guidelines to hold grand juries and give witnesses the cover of health fears to avoid honoring court-ordered subpoenas. What you are witnessing is the dying breaths of a hidden enemy responsible for over a century of embedded corruption that has been slowly destroying our republic from the inside. They divided us along racial, gender, and political lines. They created reasons for us to go to war. They made international trade agreements that brought us no benefit, but allowed them to steal our vast wealth, driving us into a state of perpetual economic decay. They flooded our streets with deadly drugs to manufacture a devastating epidemic of addiction and mass incarceration. And they did it all with impunity while their completely controlled mainstream media assets kept us distracted and focused on everything else except our one true enemy. The 2020 US elections are like none we have ever experienced. COVID-19 is being sold as a natural event, but we see now it is an attempt by enemies of humanity to hold on to power. After November, they stand to lose it all, but they will do everything to keep the crisis alive and the people in fear. To win, we must remember what made us strong, so that true justice can finally return to what is, and always will be, the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history. May God bless America. There was a time when our children stood at attention, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. When strength and honor meant something. When standing for our flag meant something. There was a time when our history was taught with pride and respect. When respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our freedoms. It was when we, the people, decided our future and had a voice that was heard. We are all bound by a feeling deep inside that people in power are exploiting and abusing us while using the powerful media apparatus to pretend they're not. All we ever wanted to do was the right thing, but they kept telling us we were wrong. We started to believe them and let ourselves forget everything that once made us strong. We became weak. We elected traitors to govern us. We allowed evil to prey on us. Those who claimed to represent us gave us false hope, made false promises. The evil and corruption only grew. They invented the word globalism to advance on their agenda of tyranny undetected, using fake narratives of social justice to neuter our resolve to fight back and silence us with shame. If you've had the misfortune of living through a globalist revolution, you will remember many false promises of prosperity and justice for all, but observing only poverty, violence, and death. One after another, these nations were robbed of every resource the land and waters produced. Citizens who would not surrender their freedoms were threatened, marginalized, or even killed. Those who did were weaponized against the rest. They blamed us for destroying the environment, for poverty, for slavery, for not going to college, or for just giving up. What you must learn is that it has always been them, a colossal global criminal class who had risen up and occupied every level of corporate, legal, and political power imaginable. In 2016, they were preparing for an endgame that was to start with the election of Hillary Clinton, and within 8 years would have culminated in nothing less than a mass global nuclear holocaust. Yet somehow, while humanity was taking its last step over the precipice of extinction, there was a miracle. You may know it as the plan. Brave patriots set into motion a sophisticated military-grade sting operation against the overwhelming network of corruption that had led all the way to the top. By the time the good people of the world learned of the frightening reality they were living in, and how close we came to the end of it all, we had already been saved. Raging around us is the final phase of a vast global shadow war, not between nations, but between the forces of good and the most unimaginable of evils. They know what's coming. It is now more clear than ever. Never in our history have they been this exposed. Never in our history have they come out from the shadows to fight. The truth is clearly visible. They defend the violent criminal gangs of MS-13. They openly promote the dismantling of our borders. They said there would be nuclear war if Trump remained in office. They encouraged violence against those who spoke out. They pushed hate, war, and economic decline. They wanted to stop peace talks with North Korea. They called for Trump to be impeached, not even providing a reason. They tried to get us to hate America, and so many obeyed. But now, each day, more and more, we see they are terrified. They knew this day would come. The entire world is watching. Patriots from around the world know that if America should fall, so falls the world. That's why we have Q. We the people, patriots everywhere, stand at the ready. We volunteer our talents willingly. We fight. We think for ourselves. Dark to light.
America is a land of heroes, a place where greatness is born, where destinies are forged, and where legends come to life. This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt, of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals, raised up the skyscrapers. Our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history, and we are making it greater than ever before. This is our glorious and magnificent inheritance. We are Americans. We are pioneers. We are the pathfinders. We settled the new world. We built the modern world, and we changed history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God. America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come.
That is an emotional 45 minutes, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes.
Absolutely.
I was losing it a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a superb video. Most of those videos are 4 or 5 years old anyway. But
yeah,
we didn't realise at the time we had to endure the Biden 4 years, did we? In the 45-47.
There's so much, like, when you think back, so much pain. There really was so much pain during those years. Like,
yeah, but for hundreds of years before that, we've endured pain and didn't know about it. We just thought it was normal.
But that's why it was painful these
Yeah.
last few years, because we realized.
Yeah. And I think, the golden age is going to be a special time, isn't it? Let's hope we're all here to see it. Yeah.
But it's starting. We don't realize it. It's all starting. It's all started. And I was thinking about the Great Awakening on our website, because I know you put some things and I put some things in our notes, but I was thinking perhaps we could do it where we suggest an order, like,
oh yeah,
suggest in order. These are the ones. And I like the idea of maybe doing it so that it's vertical. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes when you do things across but just like it's vertical, so people know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, especially.
No, because obviously we've got our big main video and then the 9 videos underneath it, and
maybe it's on another page. They click, they can click.
Oh no, what he's done, you just see 2 videos and it's got right and left arrows, and you just click through them. So they would be in order. People would have to click anyway. But Jamie's doing it like that, and it looks amazing. Anyway,
yeah,
because that's what Sheila's got on her website for all her videos. But I wanted to get our main ones there, and then other people's videos they can just skip through, because we don't want other people's videos all over our page. So having 2 short ones, 2 long ones, and then they can go and have a look if they want. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe then it links to another page, like a landing page where they're all listed, so it's not all on the home page somehow. We'll talk about it, but I think there's like this video to me is probably the first video that anyone should watch, because it's very sensitively and slowly, and it's not, I don't know, it's easy to digest. And then you can kind of maybe move on more specifically, like to Nick Alvear's, because those go into a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
right.
Once we've got like maybe 17 of each, short ones and long ones, I have to do everything methodically like that, so they would all be in order.
100%.
Anyway,
yeah.
But if we had 2 videos, 2 short videos, the first video I would have on there is just the first section of that, Joe M plans to save the world, because it tells, and then maybe the 45-minute one in the
documentary section.
Anyway,
yeah.
We'd all discuss that anyway. It's just Jamie's getting everything ready, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting
and fit in. Yeah, it is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think I don't know how you're doing, but I think I have a lot of follow-up to do, because I want to really get our February filled up. So I'm going to plan to do that this afternoon, so we can announce some more wonderful guests. We got Jason tomorrow.
Yeah.
And trying to think if there's any.
Yeah, I'm interested in that, because I haven't managed to keep up with much of Jason this week, because we've been so busy doing all these other things.
Yes.
That it'd be, really interesting to see what he's dug up, and
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I just thought as well, because we've just had our January the 6th anniversary, I'd put that little insurrection tour 1 minute and 41 seconds on the end today.
Okay.
People, which is quite fun. But yeah, thanks for joining, people. Thanks for a few little questions in there.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe and share if you enjoyed it, and to smash the like button. That helps us as well.
Yeah, definitely. So there we go then. Love and light, love not fear. Where we go, when we go all. And we'll see you tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern, 5:30 UK time.
Lots of love.
Deeper dives. Lots of love.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the US Capitol building. If you've joined us today for the insurrection, please make sure you pick up a promotional leaflet on the way in, stay inside the safety cordons at all times, and if you get lost, speak to one of our Capitol police officers. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And be sure to set aside a little time today to join us for some insurrection activities, including our photography tour, our fancy dress competition, and have a go on our climbing wall. But don't forget those safety ropes. And I've now received the results of our fancy dress competition. The winner today is Jacob Chansley. That's Mr. Jacob Chansley. If you could report to your nearest Capitol Police officer, they'll be sure to give you your prize, a guided tour of the building. And all that's left is for me to thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the insurrection. Wherever possible, please try to clean up after yourselves. Don't forget to visit the souvenir shop on the way out, and feel free to join us on the outdoor terrace for Nancy Pelosi's Insurrection Soiree. Grab yourself a light refreshment and enjoy the music of our very own fancy dress competition winner.